You're watching a clip from the Club podcast.
Make sure you follow it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and give it a 5-star review.
So here you go. Here's a lovely clip from our podcast.
Like Kovacic leaving, it's bad news for Chelsea for many reasons. Partly because whatever you think of him, however highly you rate him, whatever level you think his game is at, and however valuable you think he is for Chelsea, he is one of our best players. So overall, I think that Kovacic, for a man of his talent, his undebatable skill, I don't think he does enough. I just don't think he does enough. I think he scored 6 goals for Chelsea ever.
It's crazy.
You know what I think about a player of his quality?
Yeah.
I'd want 12 a season.
Yeah.
I want 12 goals a season.
I think 12's a bit high. I know what you're trying to say.
Mate.
I think you're saying 5 or 6 consistently a season, not 6 all time.
No, and he's not playing.
He's not a 12 a season kind of guy.
He doesn't play Makalele's role though. He's further up the pitch.
He's a weird kind of. It's hard to. You compare him positionally to Ilkay Gundogan maybe, where he plays for City.
But
then Ilkay Gundogan, he does pop into the box a bit more.
Yeah.
But I'm really interested in these rumours. Not even to spite Chelsea, which I think is a massive statement to take their best player.
It's irrelevant for you now.
I think any Chelsea player for the last 5 years that you take Kovacic, or 4 years. But we've got to talk about Haaland. Sorry, he's running through now. And
that was De Bruyne, but yes.
Honestly, the side's got to my head pass. All I'll say is that Kovacic, does he improve City? He improves City?
No, he doesn't.
He does improve
No. Presumably, you're saying that. So who isn't there? Because whoever isn't there is the best player.
Ilkay Gundogan doesn't stay, which is crazy for me. It's a reality.
Player.
Oh yeah, but he improves us. If Ilkay Gundogan leaves, he's the best. He's one of the best options in the world to sign him.
But what my point here is, I think you're kind of agreeing, but we're arguing on semantics. You take Gundogan out of the team, you put Kovacic in it, your net is less.
Slightly less, yeah.
You're
right, yeah.
Definitely.
But of all the midfielders you could sign...
Well, my problem with it is I don't massively... I like Kovacic a lot. I like the way he conducts himself. I think he's been a very good player for us. And in terms of the talent available, he's amazing. He's so gifted on the ball, carries the ball so well, drives a team. Every time he picks a ball up, you gain 20 yards at least. I just think that for somebody of his ability, he doesn't do enough. For somebody who is as gifted as he is, I want so much
being
more.
Lazy? Is that a laziness thing?
I think there's an element of laziness. Like if you look at how, how many games he played for Croatia, say even in the last, if you look at how often he plays for Croatia and how often he plays for Chelsea, the percentage-wise, it isn't quite right. Like
he saves himself for Croatia.
Yeah, I think he's a lot more committed to Croatia. But look, whatever you think of him and however... Look, I'm not particularly upset that he's leaving, but he is undoubtedly one of Chelsea's better players. I think if you were to just list Chelsea's best players, top to bottom, you just kind of suspend all positional conversation. You just go, who's the best player at the club? Arguably the two best, certainly in the top 5 or 6, Kovacic and Mount. And they're the two that are almost definitely leaving. You then throw into the equation.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Mate, it's crazy. To replace them in the squad, you have to spend 150 mil. They're both 75 million pound players. Now, obviously, they're a little bit cheaper because of the contract situation, but you have to go and replace them. Who is it? Enzo Fernandez. You've got Kante. He's gone. Kante's gone. He's a supplement to the squad. He's not a mainstay. Who is it?
No, I think with N'Golo Kante, you have to kind of think about him. Firstly, what I would say about Kante is he is probably, when you talk about the best players to have ever played maybe for Chelsea, or even if you want to make it a broader one and go Premier League, on their day, I think you can argue that N'Golo Kante is the best at what he does to have ever done it. I think if you were to compare him to, say, like the person that I always used to say was the best midfielder I've ever seen, not because they didn't do it for long enough, an injury totally ruined them, but Michael Essien was the best midfielder that I've ever seen. If you go, what player on their day is the best midfielder? So not their lifespan as a footballer or even their Chelsea career or even a season long. Just like one game. Who is the best you've ever seen? My answer to that question would have always been Michael Essien for a time. Right. Just amazing at everything. They called it the bison. That's how he played the game. I think N'Golo Kante took that. But now for Chelsea, the way that we have to think about Kante, and it winds me up when people start... when they do these like dream teams for next season and they put Kante in it, you can't think about him like that.
No.
Well, you have to think about him.
He has a good season.
You have to think about Kante as like, your mate that's really good company. But he's now married with 3 kids.
Yeah.
If he comes out, you're going to have a wicked night and you're going to go home on Sunday and you're going to forget half of what happened and the stuff you remember is even better. He's that. If he's there, it's a brilliant, beautiful bonus. But the chances of him being there are so slim.
They're very slim. What are the real name possibilities that could replace these lads that are leaving in terms of who you've seen linked that are feasible? You know, it's crazy to me that Declan Rice isn't straight in the list to replace these lads as an example, you know?
Yeah, I just don't think there's anything in it for Declan Rice to sign for Chelsea now.
No.
Like, I know there's a link to Chelsea, but remember...
It's not happening.
It's not going to happen. But if you think about the 2 main reasons why Declan Rice would have signed for Chelsea, 3 reasons. His history with the club, his friendship with Mount, and the opportunity to elevate away from West Ham. So playing the Champions League is effectively what I'm saying there. The 3 of them don't exist anymore.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
The Chelsea that he would have known is now sort of been pulled apart. So the Chelsea that he left, maybe that he would want to be reunited with, doesn't exist.
Oh, with Mason Mount not being there.
No, Mason Mount. But not only that, just the club that he left and the club that Chelsea are today, I think you can draw a line pre and post Abramovich. And by pre and post Abramovich, I mean basically anything pre-Bowley. Chelsea aren't the same club under Bowley. Our ambition is different. What the club are hoping to achieve is different. What the club define as being success is different. What the club are hoping to do with themselves, like the fact that we're selling our best players, gives you an insight into the way that the club's going. Like the fact that Kovacic is potentially going to go to City. Surely the fact that City are sniffing about Kovacic and Liverpool, Manchester United and Arsenal sniffing about Mount, surely that gives you a clue as to the quality of the player. And do you think all of the clubs that I've mentioned there regarding these 2 players had a better season than Chelsea? Aside from City, and I'm not having a pop here, but aside from City, all have a bigger history than Chelsea.
Yeah.
And they're the clubs that want to sign the players that we're deciding aren't
These
right
are serious
for us.
transfers.
Serious transfers.
People that view Mason Mount as a real strategic investment for the lifeblood of their club. Liverpool in midfield, Mason Mount is a replacement for James Milner, who's been fantastic. Same for Man United. These aren't just joke transfers. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, maybe, all right, he went to Palace. That's different, fine. But Mason Mount's he's a borderline world-class player on his day.
You're right.
If you view it that way.
Right.
Who else is linked there? I'm interested
in terms of signing, mate,
actual names. I'm not seeing many myself.
I don't think they have a clue because, you know, this is me speculating here, but you know when we spent this 600 million quid and all that, do you know sometimes some things, they feel so wild that they can't be true. And if I were to say to you that the people who own and run Chelsea weren't aware of FFP and FFPF implications, you would immediately say, well, that can't be true because it's their responsibility to know. And they are incredibly successful, incredibly wealthy venture capitalists who have a track record of making huge amounts of money, and therefore they must be aware of these things because we know them and we're not multi-millionaires. So they must know them. But you'd be wrong. This is where it goes wrong. I think that, I'm speaking for myself here, but maybe somebody watching this can empathise, maybe you can. Historically, I will always put an element of intelligence in people in high positions. And I think it's really wrong. You know, sometimes you watch a TV show, like I Like the Thick of It, and you get an insight. You know, it's people running the country and they ain't got a clue what they're doing. I feel like that's based on something. And I think the people running Chelsea, they ain't got a clue. So you know all those things that came out about Bowley? Do you remember 4-4-3 to Thomas Tuchel? So to anyone watching who hasn't heard that, Thomas Tuchel apparently like the final straw with him and Bowley, which culminated in him not getting on their plane, which is when it ended. So they were flying back from the States. Prior to getting on that plane, apparently Bowley had said to Tuchel, you're playing the wrong formation, you need to play a 4-4-3.